Jai children, through this video we are going to discuss the continuation of the lesson 100 dresses. Before moving on to the second part, let me give you a short summary of what we have learned in the last class. 100 dresses is a very touching story as it is a sensitive account of a poor girl who was taunted and ill-treated by her classmates. Wanda Petronsky, a poor Polish girl who had immigrated to America and has gone to an American school. Her classmates considered her as an innocent girl who has to tolerate all the bullies and the taunts they have done to her. Peggy and her friends always made fun of her because of her poverty. She was always found wearing a faded blue colored dress, and her name was different from others, Wanda Petronsky. They considered the name as somewhat something which is very lengthy as well as different. So they started teasing her, and she sat at the corner of the class where the students who were not good at studies sat. Madly was not interested in teasing Wanda Petronsky as she was also a poor girl like her. Since she was not interested to get rid of the friendship of Peggy, she was always with Peggy. Later, Wanda Petronsky won a contest, a drawing contest, and she had displayed 100 dresses of different colors and of different designs that even taken the minds of the judges, teacher as well as all the children. They started admiring her caliber. They started regretting for ill-treating such a creative girl. Now, you watch the animation and the explanation followed by it.
While the class was circling the room, the monitor from the principal's office brought Miss Mason a note. Miss Mason read it several times and studied it thoughtfully for a while. Then she clapped her hands.
Attention, class. Everyone back to their seat.
When the shuffling of feet had stopped and the room was still and quiet, Miss Mason said,
I have a letter from Wanda's father that I want to read to you.
Miss Mason stood there a moment and the silence in the room grew tense and expectant. The teacher adjusted her glasses slowly and deliberately. Her manner indicated that what was coming, this letter from Wanda's father, was a matter of great importance. Everybody listened closely as Miss Mason read the brief note.
Dear teacher, my Wanda will not come to your school anymore. Jake also. Now we move away to big city. No more holla Pollock. No more ask why funny name. Plenty of funny names in the big city. Yours truly, Jan Petronsky.
A deep silence met the reading of this letter. Miss Mason took off her glasses, blew on them and wiped them on her soft white handkerchief. Then she put them on again and looked at the class. When she spoke, her voice was very low.
I am sure that none of the boys and girls in room 13 would purposely and deliberately hurt anyone's feelings because his or her name happened to be a long, unfamiliar one. I prefer to think that what was said in thoughtlessness. I know that all of you feel the way I do, that this is a very unfortunate thing to have happened, unfortunate and sad both. And I want you all to think about it.
The first period was a study period. Maddie tried to prepare her lessons, but she could not put her mind on her work. She had a very sick feeling in the bottom of her stomach. True, she had not enjoyed listening to Peggy ask Wanda how many dresses she had in her closet, but she had said nothing. She had stood by silently, and that was just as bad as what Peggy had done. Worse, she was a coward. At least Peggy hadn't considered they were being mean, but she, Maddie, had thought they were doing wrong. She could put herself in Wanda's shoes. Goodness, wasn't there anything she could do? If only she could tell Wanda she hadn't meant to hurt her feelings. She turned around and stole a glance at Peggy, but Peggy did not look up. She seemed to be studying hard. Well, whether Peggy felt badly or not, she, Maddie, had to do something. She had to find Wanda Petronsky. Maybe she had not yet moved away. Maybe Peggy would climb the heights with her and they would tell Wanda she had won the contest, that they thought she was smart and the 100 dresses were beautiful.
Everyone in the class was admiring those 100 dresses designed by Wanda Petronsky. At that time, a monitor from the principal's office came with a piece of note for Miss Mason. Miss Mason read it several times as if she couldn't believe what was written in that. Later, she asked everyone to be seated. Once there was silence in the class, she told them that she got a letter from Wanda Petronsky's father and she wanted to read the letter to them. Everyone understood that it was an important letter. They were very silent and the teacher started reading it. The letter was from Wanda Petronsky's father, Jan Petronsky, and he conveyed in that letter that he was not interested in sending his children, Wanda and Jack, to that school anymore. They were shifting to a big city where nobody will be teasing them with that strange name. And there will be a lot of people like them there. Everybody was thinking about what was in that letter and they started thinking what might they have done in order to make Wanda feel. The teacher was also stunned and thus she wiped her glasses, warned them again and then she spoke to those children. She asked them, she conveyed her disappointment also. She asked them to ensure her that nothing had been done purposefully to hurt Wanda. She also added by telling that they might have done it unintentionally. She said that whatever happened was sad and unfortunate, and she advised everyone to think about it. The whole class was thinking about what they have done. It was first period, study time. Madeline was not able to concentrate in her studies. Why? Because she was very sick. She had a feeling of sickness. Why? Because she never stopped Peggy from teasing Wanda Petronsky. She considered herself as a coward for not stopping Peggy from doing that particular wrong thing. With guilt and regret, she just thought that she has to apologize to Wanda. Hoping that Peggy will also be thinking about the same thing, she looked at her, but Peggy was very keen in her studies. She thought, regardless whatever Peggy was thinking, she just took a decision. She thought that, she hoped that Wanda hadn't yet moved and she could go there and say that she was sorry for whatever happened and she wanted to tell that everyone admired her 100 dresses.
When school was dismissed in the afternoon, Peggy said with pretended casualness,
"Hey, let's go and see if that kid has left town or not."
So Peggy had had the same idea. Maddie glowed. Peg was really alright. The two girls hurried out of the building, up the street toward Bogans Heights, the part of town that was such a forbidding air on this kind of a November afternoon, drizzly, damp and dismal.
Well, at least I never did call her a foreigner or make fun of her name. I never thought she had the sense to know we were making fun of her anyway. I thought she was too dumb. And gee, look how she can draw.
Maddie could say nothing. All she hoped was that they would find Wanda. She wanted to tell her that they were sorry they had picked on her and how wonderful the whole school thought she was and pleased not to move away and everybody would be nice. She and Peggy would fight anybody who was not nice. The two girls hurried on. They hoped to get to the top of the hill before dark.
I think that's where the Petronskis live.
Wisps of old grass stuck up here and there along the pathway like thin kittens. The house in its sparse little yard looked shabby but clean. It reminded Maddie of Wanda's one dress, her faded blue cotton dress, shabby but clean. There was not a sign of life about the house. Peggy knocked firmly on the door, but there was no answer. She and Maddie went around to the backyard and knocked there. Still there was no answer. There was no doubt about it. The Petronskis were gone. How could they ever make amends? They turned slowly and made their way back down the hill.
Well, anyway, she's gone now, so what can we do? Besides, when I was asking her about all her dresses, she probably was getting good ideas for her drawings. She might not even have won the contest otherwise.
Maddie turned this idea carefully over in her head, for if there were anything in it she would not have to feel so badly. But that night she could not get to sleep. She thought about Wanda and her faded blue dress and the little house she had lived in. And she thought of the glowing picture those 100 dresses made, all lined up in the classroom. At last Maddie sat up in bed and pressed her forehead tight in her hands and really thought. This was the hardest thinking she had ever done. After a long time, she reached an important conclusion.
I am never going to stand by and say nothing again. If I ever hear anybody picking on someone because they were funny looking or because they have strange names, I'll speak up. Even if it meant losing Peggy's friendship. I have no way of making things right with Wanda, but from now on I will never make anybody else that unhappy again.
That day, when the class was over, Peggy asked Madeline if they could go and check whether Wanda has moved from there or not. Madeline was satisfied since they both had the same thoughts of apologizing to Wanda. They started to Boggain's Heights where Wanda Petronsky lived in order to find out her. During that time, the place was very wet as well as the atmosphere was sad and hopeless. Peggy started comforting herself by telling that she didn't call her a foreigner since she has immigrated to America. And she never teased her because she had a strange name. She was in a delusion that Wanda Petronsky was not aware of the fact that those girls were making fun of her. Really, Wanda Petronsky was a great artist. Maddie, on the other hand, was not able to talk at that time. She hoped that she could get a chance to confess, to make amends, as well as to admire her for her work, as well as to ask her not to move from that place. She also hoped that she will assure her that she will be with her if anybody is there to taunt her. Then they hurried to Boggain's Heights because they wanted to reach there before night. When they reached there, they found a white house. It seemed to be clean, shabby but clean. They knocked the front door and the back door, but no response was there. They realized that Wanda's family had moved from there. Along with them, their chance to confess has also gone. Peggy comforted her by telling that she might never had got that inspiration if she hadn't started that particular game. She got the inspiration to draw those 100 designs only because of that dress game. And she added by telling that she might, if she had stopped that dress game, then she might never have won that contest. But Maddie couldn't sleep that night. She was constantly thinking about Wanda Petronsky's little house, her blue faded dress, both shabby and clean, and her admiring 100 dresses that were lined up in the classroom but not in the closet. Finally, she sat in her bed and started thinking deeply. She was pressing her forehead. That shows that she was thinking, or she was concentrating on what she was thinking. And after thinking for a long time, she came to a conclusion that she will be against people who tease others. He will be against wrong things. If she lose Peggy's friendship also, no problem. She will be against the students or anyone who tried to tease someone in the class by teasing them because of their strange names or their appearance.
On Saturday, Maddie spent the afternoon with Peggy. They were writing a letter to Wanda Petronsky. It was just a friendly letter telling about the contest and telling Wanda she had won. They told her how pretty her drawings were. And they asked her if she liked where she was living and if she liked her new teacher. They had meant to say they were sorry, but it ended up with their just writing a friendly letter, the kind they would have written to any good friend, and they signed it with lots of X's for love. They mailed the letter to Bogans Heights, writing "Please forward" on the envelope. Days passed and there was no answer, but the letter did not come back, so maybe Wanda had received it. Perhaps she was so hurt and angry she was not going to answer. You could not blame her. Weeks went by and still Wanda did not answer. Peggy had begun to forget the whole business, and Maddie put herself to sleep at night making speeches about Wanda, defending her from great crowds of girls who were trying to tease her with, "How many dresses have you got?" And before Wanda could press her lips together in a tight line, the way she did before answering, Maddie would cry out, "Stop." Then everybody would feel ashamed the way she used to feel.
How many dresses have you got?
Stop. Now it was Christmas time and there was snow on the ground. Christmas bells and a small tree decorated the classroom. On the last day of school before the holidays, the teacher showed the class a letter she had received that morning. "You remember Wanda Petronsky, the gifted little artist who won the drawing contest? Well, she has written me, and I am glad to know where she lives, because now I can send her medal. I want to read her letter to you. Dear Miss Mason, how are you in room 13? Please tell the girls they can keep those 100 dresses, because in my new house I have 100 new ones, all lined up in my closet. I'd like that girl Peggy to have the drawing of the green dress with the red trimming, and her friend Maddie to have the blue one. For Christmas, I miss that school and my new teacher does not equalize with you. Merry Christmas to you and everybody, yours truly, Wanda Petronsky." On the way home from school, Maddie and Peggy held their drawings very carefully. All the houses had wreaths and holly in the windows. Outside the grocery store, hundreds of Christmas trees were stacked, and in the window, candy peppermint sticks and cornucopias of shiny transparent paper were strung. The air smelled like Christmas, and light shining everywhere reflected different colors on the snow.
Boy, this shows she really likes us. It shows she got our letter and this is her way of saying that everything's alright. And that's that.
I hope so. She felt sad because she knew she would never see the little tight-lipped Polish girl again and couldn't ever really make things right between them. She went home and she pinned her drawing over a torn place in the pink flowered wallpaper in the bedroom. The shabby room came alive from the brilliancy of the colors. Maddie sat down on her bed and looked at the drawing. She had stood by and said nothing, but Wanda had been nice to her anyway. Tears blurred her eyes and she gazed for a long time at the picture. Then hastily she rubbed her eyes and studied it intently. The colors in the dress were so vivid that she had scarcely noticed the face and head of the drawing. But it looked like her, Maddie. It really looked like her own mouth. Why, it really looked like her own self. Wanda had really drawn this for her. Excitedly, she ran over to Peggy's.
Peg, let me see your picture. Let me see your picture.
What's the matter?
As they clattered up to her room where Wanda's drawing was lying face down on the bed. Maddie carefully raised it.
Look, she drew you. That's you. And the head and face of this picture did look like Peggy.
What did I say? She must have really liked us anyway. Yes, she must have.
agreed Maddie, and she blinked away the tears that came every time she thought of Wanda standing alone in that sunny spot in the schoolyard, looking stolidly over at the group of laughing girls after she had walked off, after she had said, "Sure, 100 of them, all lined up."
On Saturday, Maddie spent time with Peggy. They started writing a letter to Wanda Petronsky. Actually, they wanted to write an apology letter, but it ended up like a friendly letter, as if they were good friends. They just wrote about the contest wherein Wanda Petronsky won, and they asked Wanda about her new place, where she was, and how that place was. Then they forwarded it to Bougainville since they didn't know the new address, and they wrote, "Please forward" on the top of it. They thought that if Wanda didn't receive, they will get back the letter. Days passed, but they didn't receive the letter back. So they made it sure that Wanda Petronsky might have received that letter, and she didn't reply it since she was very much hurt and angry with them. Weeks passed. Peggy started forgetting about all those business. But Maddie spent time at night and all giving speeches defending Wanda Petronsky. So she will be just thinking as if a group of girls reach Wanda Petronsky and asking her how many dresses she has got. At that time, she will be interfering and she will shout to stop. And all the girls will be very ashamed of it. So, it was Christmas time, winter season, so snow everywhere, and they have decorated their classrooms with bells and a Christmas tree. The teacher came, and the teacher seemed to be very happy. She told that she received a letter from Wanda Petronsky, and now she got an opportunity to send the medal to her also. And then she started reading the letter. In that letter, Wanda Petronsky asked how everyone was, and she told that they could keep those 100 dresses because she has got a lot of 100 dresses in her new house, all lined up in the closet. And then she told that Peggy and Madeline could take 2 dresses from them. One green dress with red trimmings for Peggy and a blue one for Madeline. And then she talked about her regards to Miss Masson by telling that her new teacher will never equalize Miss Masson. And she wanted to wish everyone Merry Christmas, and she ended that letter by telling Merry Christmas to everyone, and she told that she missed that school also. Peggy and Madeline went back home, carefully taking the drawings with them. On their way, they could see that everywhere filled with Christmas trees and colorful things and all. The grocery shops were filled with Christmas trees and all Christmas stuff, and the atmosphere was very colorful and joyful. Peggy thought that Wanda Petronsky liked them, and that's why these designs were given to them. She also assured that Wanda Petronsky might have received the letter that they have written, and that's why she has replied like this. But Maddie was sad since she was not able to see her and she was not able to make amends. When Maddie reached home, she placed that drawing on the wall. Her room was shabby, but because of that drawing, it appeared to be very bright. She sat there and started admiring that drawing. She looked at it for a long time, and later she recognized that the face is actually Maddie's. She was astonished. She wanted to see whether Peggy also realized it. So she went to Peggy's house. When she reached there, she asked for the drawing. That drawing was lying on the bed upside down. She raised it and found that the face was Peggy's. Actually, those drawings were so bright that the faces were not seemed vibrant. Now, Peggy realized that Wanda really liked them. Maddie, who had that tears on her eyes whenever she thought of Wanda Petronsky, agreed with Peggy. So this is the story of 100 Dresses. I hope you have enjoyed the story very well. Now let's go through the meanings of some vocabularies that are not given in your textbook. Shuffle. Walk by dragging one's feet along or without lifting them fully from the ground. Deliberately, consciously and intentionally, that is with a purpose. G. A mild expression typically of surprise, enthusiasm or sympathy. Wisp. Wisp means a small amount of. Stacked. Arranged in a stack. Stack means heap, pile, etc. Now, you might have seen wreath. A Christmas wreath on a house door. A wreath is an assortment of flowers, leaves, fruits, twigs or various materials that is constructed to form a ring. In England, wreaths are used typically as household ornaments. Now, holly. Holly, a species of evergreen or deciduous trees, shrubs and climbers with red color fruits. Candy peppermint, a candy made of peppermint oil. Cornucopias, a decoration of vegetables and fruits in a particular shape. Thank you for watching this video. We will meet the next week with another lesson.